This holiday of a lifetime, 2 nights at the Balmoral Hotel in Edinburgh and then a tour on the Royal Scotsman train, was going to be done in August 2020 for our 40th wedding anniversary celebration, but COVID intervened, and although we got the 2 nights at the hotel, the train trip was cancelled. So we did it the following year. We didn't stay at the same hotel again. That would just have been asking for difficulties in memories. But we did stay just round the corner and were still able to go there for the afternoon tea that they do, and then have a day in Edinburgh visiting the museums before setting off for our trip on the Royal Scotsman, a fantastic train which I recommend anybody to do at least once in a lifetime. After a very enjoyable day in Edinburgh and our evening meal, we then took the dreaded COVID test to make sure we would be allowed to board the Royal Scotsman, and went off to the Balmoral Hotel where everybody met before being piped to the station to pick up the train. GB Rail Freight provided a locomotive specially adorned in Royal Scotsman livery and a crew for this service. We were fortunate enough to have one of the just 3 compartments with a double bed on the Royal Scotsman, and once we'd unpacked, our suitcases went neatly underneath the bed and we had plenty of space. During the day we all travelled in the observation car, which had a free bar at one end and this open balcony on the other, although the open balcony was not of much use until the train reversed at Kyle of Lochalsh and the locomotive was at the other end. After a quiet night's sleep, stabled in a siding at Keith, the train took us to Elgin, where a dedicated coach met us to take us on our first excursion to Cawdor Castle. After suitable refreshments, the coach took us on to Inverness, where we reboarded the train which took us right across to the west coast to Kyle of Lochalsh, where we spent the next night. After a formal dinner and a good night's sleep, we set off eastwards again in rather misty weather. Now the locomotive was at the other end of the train and there was a good view over the balcony. It happened that the Malt Whisky Society was using this train as a tour of distilleries for 2 of its members, and their tour manager and our own bar manager gave us all a whisky tasting session in which I learnt to love Scotch whisky even more than I already did. The train dropped us off at Aviemore, from where a coach picked us up to take us to Ballindallack Castle, where we were given a thorough tour of the premises by its owner, and then taken to tea in their public cafeteria, but with a special area for ourselves where we had a chance to chat a bit further. And then the coach took us on to the Strathspey Railway to Boat of Garton Station, where the train had been moved while we were at Ballindallack. breakfast the following morning, our coach took us on to the Rothimercus estate in the countryside, where a variety of country pursuits was on offer. I tried my hand at clay pigeon shooting, with some success, I'm pleased to say, and then we had a light refreshments back at the house, and the coach took us on again back to the train, where we could have lunch, ready for the afternoon's outing to Glamis Castle. Glamis Castle was the home of Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, the late Queen Elizabeth II's mother, and there were several portraits of her in the castle. It was a lovely sunny afternoon. We enjoyed a walk in the grounds before we returned to the coach and to the train at Dundee Station for our last night on board. As the train set off, the open balcony at the rear end of the train certainly came to its own for this part of the journey, as several of us gathered there to watch the crossing of the Firth of Tay and the Firth of Forth on the famous bridges.